Wanted to tell you the story of the first half marathon that I ever ran. It was a trail run on the west side of Phoenix. I got to the starting line. The big day of the race had finally arrived, and I was nervous. I had no idea about the trail that lay ahead of me, the challenges, the twists and turns, and I was beginning to be very nervous. I had heard some people talking that this was a very challenging half marathon. Well, I started off, the first 2 miles were great. I felt really good, the weather was phenomenal, and I felt strong. Then I got to a really challenging part, which was a climb of about 1,800 feet of elevation gain. And I always use the hills in any of my trail runs as a challenge to keep jogging. No matter how difficult it is, just keep moving so that I can get through the most challenging part as quickly as possible. And I did, I made it to the top. However, that was only halfway through the marathon. I still had 6.5 miles to go. So I continued the race, and I was feeling pretty excited about the pace that I was keeping. But I got to about 2 miles within the finish line, and I totally crashed. I was so exhausted, and my legs felt like lead, and all I could do was shuffle along. People were passing me and encouraging me, saying the hard part is when you're almost there, but I could not get my legs to move any faster. Finally, I got to within half a mile of the finish line, and I pushed as hard as I could, and I finished the race in 2 hours and 45 minutes. I was definitely proud of my accomplishment, but I was not so excited about the time that I had achieved. I reflected on how that race went, and I learned a valuable lesson. If I had prepared ahead better, not just physically but mentally, I'm sure that I could have paced myself better, and I'm sure that my time would have been much faster. Because I hadn't prepared, I didn't know the most challenging parts of the races. I didn't know where I had to put more energy in or where I could preserve my energy for those more challenging parts. I believe this is really applicable to our work on the Market Foundation Train, a new dynamic application on the GoTo platform. It is absolutely critical that we know the path ahead before we start a market. We know all of the features and all of the challenges. That way we will be able to plan ahead and put forth more energy in those more difficult sections and be able to preserve our energy in the easier parts. So that by pacing ourselves in this way and by planning ahead, we will be more likely to meet our dates more often.